1987, I was fired after 1.5 days from a company. They called me up a Saturday morning and said, you know, we've been doing this for 70 years. We don't need another guy with crazy ideas. Today, my whole team is actually working on their global strategy for innovation, teaching them and structuring the way they work. They have roughly 100,000 employees. Revenge. The fact that they thought that they didn't need new ideas is one of the problems why innovation failed. But innovations should fail. We shouldn't go into my lecture thinking that failing is wrong. Let's just for a minute stop and say that failing could be good if you fail in the right way. When you're in the mode of failing, you have to look at why are we failing and what is failing. Whether it be the system and the culture of the organization that's failing, or it is the actual innovation. So I remember one day when I came to my boss and I said, you know, I have a really good idea for a new TV show. And he said, yeah, can you express that in 3 words? I said, no. He said, then it's not a good idea. End of discussion. The idea was, I remember the feeling when my friends went on stage with their garage bands and they were singing and acting and playing, and I remember how I loved seeing them on stage. So I had an idea of doing sort of a huge talent show where we'd go out in every country and look for the hidden talents in singing and music and just make a big show of that. And at the time, the biggest media boss in Northern Europe, he said, since I couldn't express that in 3 words, it was a bad idea. Maybe Idol or talent is a bad idea, I don't know. The problem is not whether my idea was good or bad. The problem was that the organization didn't know how to capture my ambition, my passion, and the idea I had, and do something with it. I claim every day that ideas are worthless. The question is, how do you take the idea from just being an idea to bringing value, creating value repetitively with a margin? That's when you have an innovation. Everything else is just crap. Research without taking it to the market is more or less wasted money. I'm talking about a vision of we can transform our business. They were completely focused on their internal problems, and they didn't look at the problems and the stuff that needed to be solved in the market. So if you can do that, and you are open to collaborating with other people, if you're open to working with business models, etc., then you can actually get innovation working. See, innovation, you have to be able to focus, you have to be able to manage 3 things: the known, the unknown, and then the resources to come up with solutions around this. And the resources are really difficult because that's where you have the managers. This is in Swedish, I'm sorry about this. So a big problem we have in large organizations is that they think big, act big, and demand big. They don't care about something that could, you know, the first year turn over 40 million kroners, the next year 160, growing with 400%. The next year maybe, you know, growing 25, 30%. It's too small. They're too preoccupied or occupied by managing the 120 billion krona core business. So they need a structure to actually take care of what grows fast. The structure is called corporate venturing. Management have the wrong skill set. They are not entrepreneurs, and they don't understand entrepreneurs. And most of all, they're not courageous. And why are managers not courageous? It's because they need better structure to make decisions on. Because you don't really want managers to be cowboys. You want people in the organization to be cowboys. Like, we allow failures of up to 70% in companies, but still we say that it's wrong to fail. Can someone explain how that's going to create a culture where people dare doing stuff? My old boss, John Stenbeck, he told me, if you're not failing, you haven't tried hard enough. That made me try really hard. Where do managers focus their efforts? Down here. Short-term, small improvements. What's going to change my company's way of doing business? It is radical. But we have to let in the radical ideas. We have to put it in our strategy. So with the portfolio, you can say that, okay, we're going to put 40% or 50% or 75% of our efforts on short-term development. But we need to put, a few percent, 5-6%, on really the guy with the crazy idea. And if someone can fly over the channel, I'll give them £100,000. And they tried 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 and they tried, and nothing happened. Then one guy comes up and says, we're asking the wrong question. The problem we're trying to solve is how do we fly by manpower? That's not the answer to that's not the right problem. The right problem to solve is how do we build an airplane that when it crashes it's really easy to rebuild it so we can try and try and try. And when he came with this idea and started, it took less than a year to solve the problem. Because the problem was not, how to make the wings and all that. The problem was that when they had spent a year sitting in their basement building the airplane and it crashed, they were out of money and they couldn't continue. You need crazy entrepreneurs that are really lucky and that no matter how unsuccessful we are, we just try again. And if there's a problem, yay, if I can avoid this problem means that my competitor is not going to avoid it because I'll own that route, so that's going to stop him. To me, problems are opportunities. Failing is part of the process. But you can't go out like the CEO and says, yeah, we failed, well done. I mean, that's not what you're after. Celebrating failure is actually bringing up trying to find why did we fail and solve it. Because if you have a person working on a problem and he has failed, and you just say you failed and kick this person out, that's not going to help the rest of the organization to try more, is it? Huh? What type of organization do you create when you do that? You create an organization that doesn't have courage. But if you help this person get around the problem, then the rest of the organization will have learned something and will try also. You know what Henry Ford said about that? He said that if I had asked my customers what they wanted, they would have asked for a faster horse.
Yeah, exactly.
Don't worry about what the project is about. That you'll solve the problem. They know their problem. Ask them how they want to buy it. What we do in almost every case is we find a few, we call it the 3 critical clients. And we let them participate in the development of the solution. And we promise them a dead cheap price for participating. But they have to commit to buying if we solve the problem. So that means that we know that if we only solve the problem, we're actually covering our investment. I need a whiteboard. By involving your customer and making the customer commit, what you actually do is you shorten the time to market. You can actually have a negative time to market if you have a customer defining from the beginning what they want and paying for it, like Dell in one essence has done. So then what you actually do is you change this curve. And can you, if someone can take this and count, what is the return on investment here? It's huge. And if you actually can cover your cost immediately, so you don't have to go below the line. You have a totally different way. And what if you fail there? What is the cost of failure? You lose face towards your customer? No. The customer knows that you're trying to solve their problem, and if it was easy, they would have done it themselves. Right? This is not rocket science. This is absolutely doable. Thank you.